It's the Unhappy Hour.
Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way Galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, California, Los Angeles to be specific. Hello, everybody. Brian Engelman here, the New American Media, thenewamericanmedia.com on the TNAM radio network. This is another episode of the Unhappy Hour, where we talk Cleveland Indians, Cleveland Cavaliers, Cleveland Browns, some Ohio State Buckeyes. The Buckeyes, of course, being the only thing in my lifetime to bring me a championship. The only championship I've ever celebrated has not been from Cleveland, which is the closest major city to where I spent 25 years. However, for the past 11, I've been out here in Los Angeles, California, and I think I'm going to be rooting for the Cleveland Rams. Yes, you heard me. The Cleveland Rams. In the 1930s, the Cleveland Rams were a football club in Cleveland, and then they moved to Los Angeles, then to St. Louis, and then back. So maybe I will root for this expansion / relocated team. I don't know. I'll see if I have it in me. It'd be fun. It'd be fun to have a local team. Not that I'm going to root for them ahead of the Cleveland Browns. I'm just saying. But hey, this is the best time of year to talk Cleveland Browns. Unfortunately, it's because we're talking about the draft. Playoffs? I'm talking about playoffs? No, we're talking about the draft. And this is usually the best time to talk about the Cleveland Browns. Why? Because we're usually not good in the playoffs, but we're always just one draft away from getting that franchise quarterback, from getting 4 or 5 starters, getting things turned around. There have been some trades, a lot of fun stuff. So we're going to bring in Brandon Odell to discuss the upcoming draft. Steph Curry just got hurt, by the way. Again, looks like he slid on the court. They're doing an MRI. I don't know. Didn't look good, and Steve Kerr did not sound optimistic. So we're going to follow that one. Keep our eyes peeled on that. But make sure you're checking us out on YouTube, youtube.com/thenewamericanmedia. Click subscribe and leave your comments. Just like Greg Moore and UFC is MMA. Corey. Just like everybody else. Was that Cavs fan from Mansfield? Who else leaves comments on there? Well, start leaving comments more regularly, and we'll talk about you on the show. Because you become the regular. So anyway, also check out thenewamericanmedia.com. On the right-hand side of that page is the TNAM radio button. That's where you click play to listen to this program live, along with the Agree to Disagree show live. And we tweet out and send out messages on Facebook. That's also right underneath the TNAM radio on the homepage of thenewamericanmedia.com. So link up with us, Facebook. Also find our sports page, The Unhappy Hour Sports Show. It's a private group. Find it. Search it. The Unhappy Hour Sports Show. As long as we can confirm that you are an Indians, Cavs, or Browns, or Buckeye fan, we'll let you in the room. Fun stuff. And on Twitter, we're at American_media_. So, without further delay, let's go to Brandon. Get him into the show. Talk some Cleveland Browns. LeBron James.
Hello.
Brandon, you're live. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm living the dream. Thanks for asking. Appreciate it. Most important question, though, are you prepared for spring? I want to get a garden update from Mr. Odell before we get started.
We have been working hard. I actually just turned our compost and added some nice-looking compost to the garden today. I planted kale, and about a week ago I planted some spinach and some Brussels sprouts and some snow peas. So far, so good.
Heck yeah, man. I got some cauliflower and broccoli are doing fantastic. The leeks, man, I got these organic leeks, and I just chopped the bottoms off, and I put them in water. They started sprouting again from the top. Let them grow a little bit, retransplant them. They're up to my shoulders, just from scraps. Yeah. So that's doing well. Got some strawberries, some tomatoes, turning the compost. Got a worm composter as well. So they eat through all the stuff, all the scraps. They don't like the citrus, but Anyway, I digress. I was just out there for a few hours myself, but yeah, it's a good time. Hope springs eternal. This is a season of rebirth, hence the Easter and pagan traditions of celebrating the rebirth of good weather. We're celebrating the chance for a new Browns regime to have a chance to, according to Hugh Jackson, he says, quote, "We will get this right, I promise you." This is after the Browns traded their number 2 overall pick to the Eagles. So I guess that's a good place, as good a place as any to start. What do you make of the trade with the Cleveland Browns moving out of number 2?
Well, I think that it is an easy thing right now to try to judge, but on first glance, I didn't like it a whole lot. I had really kind of gotten myself used to the fact that maybe they were going to be picking a quarterback. I certainly see the merit in saying, okay, well, you have a guy in Robert Griffin who, when he was coming out, was rated higher than any of than either of these other two guys.
Right.
And if it's possible to be able to get his play together, I mean, you definitely have something there, and you have the opportunity to catch lightning in a bottle. Question is, is that likely to happen on a team that is so bare bones? So, I guess I like the idea of them trying to, fill some different holes. They need playmakers in the worst way. At this point, you're talking about the workman like Gary Barnidge being your most significant offensive threat, and that's something that needs to be improved upon if any quarterback is going to be successful.
Yeah, now people are wondering. We're sitting. We've moved down a few picks from number 2 to number 8. And you're starting to see people wonder, hey, is that about the right time to go after perhaps one of the most dynamic running backs coming into the league in a long time? I mean, it wasn't too long ago that people were saying, don't even take a running back in the first round, and now a lot of people, because Ezekiel Elliott is such a fundamentally sound player, and he's such a good blocker, that's something I think a lot of people can't underestimate, that if you can be a 3-down back and you can provide pass protection on top of it, I mean, that's a great pickup, and he's a home run hitter. What do you think the Browns should do at number 8, and do you think Zeke has any chance of fitting in with what the Browns are trying to do with Hugh?
I'm not really too sure. I mean, I guess the same way that we should be wary about just about any sort of draft pick, because of having so many swings at the plate that have been, swings and misses in the last 5 years, especially in that first round.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, you look at a guy like Trent Richardson, and you say, "Oh no, I don't want to have another one of those type of things happen again," because Trent Richardson we took at number 3 overall that year. Remember Trent Richardson was the first non-quarterback taken in the draft that produced Andrew Luck and Robert Griffin.
Right.
And both of them were supposed to be, generational types of talents at quarterback. And certainly, Trent Richardson being the next player taken really just went to show how he was supposed to be a generational type of player at his position as well. So, I'm cautious to say that, Zeke Elliott will be, a great pro. Todd Gurley had a really good rookie year after going really high last year. But then again, so did David Johnson, picked in the 3rd round or 4th round, might have even been like 4th or 5th round, who played for Arizona. And then you look at a guy like Melvin Gordon down in San Diego, who had been, really picked for great things and kind of had a so-so year at best. So, a can't-miss prospect is still just a prospect until they get out on the field and you see what they can do. So, I guess I would like to see that would be a fun pick. You'd also say, it'd be a lot of fun to have maybe take a late flyer on Cardale Jones later in the draft, or if one of those Ohio State linebackers somehow manages to still be available at the top of the second round. There's a wealth of talent coming from Ohio State that the NFL is going to that are quickly going to join the NFL ranks. It's not just Zeke Elliott, but either way, I'm rambling a little bit. I think Zeke Elliott's going to be a good pro. If he ends up being the pick, I hope he does well for us. And I don't know. What are your opinions about it?
The Browns need so much. They need so many things. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to say, where do you even start? You look at what Hugh Jackson did. What did he do when he was over in Cincinnati? He went out and in the top 5, he picked up A.J. Green, and then on the next day, right at the top, he picked Andy Dalton. Right, and
you're when you're saying Hugh Jackson, I don't think that Hugh Jackson was with the team when those selections were actually made. And actually, Hugh Jackson's first year with the Bengals, he was a running backs coach.
Ah, good point. Good point.
So he's been with them for 3 years, I believe, and then for the last 2 years, he's been offensive coordinator because Jay Gruden was the offensive coordinator and ended up becoming the head coach there in Washington. The year before that, when Jay Gruden had his big year before he got his head coaching gig, he was just the running backs coach, not even really, someone who was really involved with calling the plays.
Well, you kind of feel like a good way to start this off would be to have, I don't know. I don't know if you can look at RG3 and say, he's it. He was benched for Colt McCoy and for Kirk Cousins last year. Yeah, so Josh McCown certainly isn't the future. I fully expect that the Browns are going to use one of their many draft picks this year on a quarterback. Maybe second round, maybe Connor Cook if he lasts until the second day, maybe third or fourth round, get a Cardale or go get, they're looking at the kid from USC, and there's a lot of smoke screens at this point, but I would say I'm about 95% certain the Browns take a quarterback in this draft. Is that safe to say at least, whether it's the first round or not?
Yeah, I would say yes, but then again, maybe it's. They're already moving down from number 2. Maybe it seems like they really like RG3 and Josh McCown a little bit more than what they're letting on. McCown certainly injury-wise was a. That hurt him last year. If he was healthy, he actually was playing pretty well. So even to have him as your backup or as spot starter, I don't think that you need to feel too bad about that. It's just, are you going to have that dynamic talent there, and is RG3 going to be it or not? So,
the Browns have lost some offensive linemen with Alex Mack, with Mitchell Schwartz. I don't know how high, you take a Ronnie Staley or, Jack Conklin from Michigan State.
Don't take it, yeah. If there's anything that they don't need to do, it's that they don't need to take another offensive lineman with their top pick right now. I think that what they need to do is, they already showed with, like, Mitchell Schwartz and Joel Bitonio and things like that, you can get some pretty good players in the second round. I think if they want to target an offensive lineman, second round, or maybe find a way to trade down from that 32 spot and get a second and another third or something like that. I think that's where you get that offensive lineman maybe. But yeah, I don't think that they need to spend that 8 pick on a tackle.
Well,
Unless something happens and they get rid of Joe Thomas for another first-round pick or something, and then maybe. But besides that, I think what they need to do is they need to use that top pick, whether it's for a you talk about like an offensive playmaker, or possibly like a really good linebacker or something. I could see being that pick, but. Mingo was supposed to be that guy at linebacker that was supposed to be a big playmaker, and he hasn't done it. So, I mean, either way, that's what they need. They need a guy who can really set the tempo on offense or defense and make some big, noticeable plays. That's what they need.
Yeah, somebody that can actually put points on the board. I'm looking at this mock draft on NFL.com. 2 of them have Miles Jack, outside linebacker from UCLA, going to the Browns, and 2 of them have Ezekiel Elliott from Ohio State going to the Browns.
Yeah. So what do you know about Miles Jack being out there in L.A.? I mean, I know he had that meniscus thing and then he left school or something, but did you hear on the east side of things, we don't generally see too many Pac-12 games, period. But yeah, I can't say I saw UCLA play at all with him. So
yeah, I mean he's an interesting player. He brings a lot of skills to the table. He's a player that if you think about an all-around great athlete, that's the type of guy you're talking about here. The reports on him is that what is it? His knee with the injury, it says the medical information's all over the place, so but he could be the steal of the draft as well. Yeah. So it just kind of
Johnny Manziel, I mean
jeez. What do you make of the rise and fall of Johnny? You just think it was a failure to vet these guys, the Justin Gilberts, the Johnny Manziel? I mean, we need to draft the right type of player. Do you think that plays a really big part of it this time around? The right type of human being.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think you could spend a whole other complete hour talking about what went wrong there. But I mean, just I think in general, I think you just have someone that is. I mean, it's obvious that he has a lot of issues that are a lot bigger than football, and I don't think you can put that on the Browns or anything that he was coached to do or not coached or anything like that. I think that those demons would have exposed themselves one way or the other with any team.
I think you're right with that, Johnny's family's worried he's going to be dead. It's horrible that the Browns franchise went through this, but I think it's obvious at this point that the kid's life is in danger. So I'm definitely no Johnny Manziel fan at this point. He really let our city and our franchise down, but.
He's letting himself down.
He's
letting everyone in his life down except the people that just want to party with him. So, but like I said, we could spend a whole other hour talking about that. But since we don't have a whole lot of time, let's stick to the. So ultimately, I like the trade, if for no other reason than just the fact that we do have a lot of holes. Your opinion, pretty much the same.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I could even see us trading down a little bit more, because at that at that late first round, early second round, mid second round, they're saying the top 100 in this draft are just incredible. The top 100. So the more picks you have in that top, geez, just think about all the Buckeyes that are going to be there toward the end of the first round, all through the second round. You get dynamic playmakers in a Braxton Miller and a Michael Jenkins, I think there's something that could be said for pedigree. Obviously that's not the case with Johnny Manziel, but when you played on a team that's won a national championship, when you expect and demand success and damn near perfection, I sure want to walk away with one Ohio State Buckeye player in the first 2 rounds. I want to pick somebody up. There's how many of them? 8 of them that they're saying could go in the first 2-3 rounds. I mean,
there's more than that in the first 2. There's there's like 8 of them that, could possibly, if crazy things happened, be, players picked in the first 40 picks.
Yeah, you got Eli Apple, Darren Lee, Taylor Decker, Zeke,
Bosa.
Jeez.
So those are 5 right there that are surefire first-round picks.
And then Michael Jenkins and Braxton Miller.
Michael Thomas.
Why do I keep saying Michael Jenkins?
Former Malcolm Jenkins.
I was combining the two. Yes.
Yeah.
That guy. I'm having a Malcolm in the Middle moment. But yeah, I think the Browns are going to get a quarterback with almost 100% certainty. I'm fine with that. If they get somebody in the second, third round, fourth, fifth round, whatever. I got it. When you start with a new regime, you just got to give them a shot, Brandon. That's all you can do is say, hey, let's see what Moneyball can do here. Let's see what they can do. But you're right. They have so many holes. I'm okay trading down one more time and just loading up in the late first round and the early second round, just loading up. I'm cool with that because I think there's a lot of talent this year. Maybe a little bit.
Well, if they can if they can finally do it right, that's been certainly the big issue is that they just like I said, keep having these great players or having these great picks, and then just for whatever reason they don't work out. So I mean they have to start hitting on some of these guys if they're ever really going to improve. And when I say on some of these guys, I mean they have to hit on their first round picks. They've actually done halfway decent on their second round picks, but their first round picks just have been abysmal in the last 6 years. So, and
I don't want to see Vincent Mailey picked in the third round as a wide receiver, and he's cut by the end of spring camp. You're like, why did we seriously wasted a third round pick on somebody that couldn't even make the couldn't even make the team?
Terrence West, he's already on his third team or fourth team now or something.
Jeez.
Richardson and West are both on the Baltimore Ravens now. So I mean, yeah, there's just so many. I mean, look at the guy. Remember that draft with where we picked Mingo? We traded all of our picks away, and only really had like Mingo and that Leon McFadden in the third round. That obviously was on the team for 1 year and got cut. So Mingo's, I think, the only player left from that draft. So I mean, yeah, it's just a lot of big problems. So we'll see if they can solve them. But I guess the main thing is hopefully they can just bring in some guys that are going to really make a difference for the team.
Well, it's fun. It's a fun moment when the Browns get to draft, and they've proven to be aggressive so far. I wouldn't be surprised if they moved again in the first round. But I think that second day of the draft is going to be something for the Browns. I think they're really going to, I don't know what else to say. I just have a really good feeling. I've had a really good feeling about the Cavaliers too. I don't know if you want to give me any thoughts on the Cavs or the Indians. Indians swept Detroit as well. I don't know if you had anything else to say on the Browns before we.
Well, why don't we just kind of wrap up with the Browns, since that's what this was supposed to be. So my dream scenario, your dream scenario, we can't assume trades right now. So tell me a player that you would really like to get at number 8, and then maybe the type of player you would like to then target at number 32. And I'll do the same, and we'll
look, all right, fair. I am of the opinion, I played defense in high school, and I'm a big defensive end fan. Bosa won't be there at 8, but I think the Browns need to get offensive playmakers. I think that, okay, and you made a good point. If you want to get a couple linemen in the second, third, fourth rounds, but you got to restock the cupboards with offensive linemen. You have to do that. I really want to see. Okay, so dream scenario, we're not trading back, because that's the thing. I mean, where do you take the highest ranked wide receiver? Where do you put Laquan Treadwell? Is he in the early mid-20s?
Yeah.
Do we trade, Josh Doxton? Like there's a couple things that could happen, but if they took Zeke, I would be okay with it because he's a home run hitter and he's a great blocker. If they, yeah.
What about, being on the West Coast, there's that DeForest Buckner as a player I hear a lot about.
Yeah, in a few mock drafts, the defensive end from Oregon, they have him coming over to the Browns as well. I guess, Brandon, they just have to be studs. If they're gonna play whatever position they play, they just have to be a stud. They just have to be a difference maker. Like I said, I would really like to see. We got to give up on Josh Gordon at this point. Mike Polk Jr. did a really fun article about what we should do with him and just put him into Cleveland Browns purgatory forever. Because as he keeps testing positive, we don't honor his last year of the contract, so we still have his rights for the next year, and we just keep going and going and going and keep him on the roster. We cannot count on Josh Gordon. Anybody hanging out at Coachella with Johnny Manziel, it cannot be trusted. So, like you said, the workman-like efforts of Gary Barnidge, we need someone that can score touchdowns. And there's a lot of talent in the draft, but when they grade out at the best wide receiver being in the 20s, the mid-20s, that might be a little bit of a reach, but maybe it's not that big of a reach to go after Zeke. Maybe it's probably because I watched him play so darn much, and I'm a big Buckeye fan, but I mean, that seems to be the exact kind of player that you need for the AFC North. You need somebody that can really get it done. This running back by committee thing that we've been trying with, Duke Johnson and the Crow, I don't know that there's any home run hitting ability there, so I would say that, off the top of my head, to take Zeke at 8, I would probably be okay with it. I feel like we should deal with the defense once we get an offense that can do something, but the defense is so bad too. I can't fault going D, What about you? What about you?
I think that, everything that I've heard is that Miles Jack could end up being the best player in the draft. But do you have a Jadeveon Clowney type of thing where the dude just physically has issues? So, I guess if they end up choosing him, I'm just going to trust in the doctors, that the doctors know what they're saying. Otherwise, I like the idea of picking Elliott. If that Tunsil is still there and he's the best tackle in the entire draft.
Now, wait a second. I thought you were giving me grief for talking offensive lineman.
Well, I'm just saying, if he's still there and he is the best, the guy that a lot of people thought the Titans were going to take at number 1 before all the trades happened, if he somehow is still there, it would be hard to pass up on him. But then again, it's... So I'm going to say Miles Jack or Ezekiel Elliott. And as far as someone in the second round, then I think being able to possibly get I think you got to target, if that's the way you go with things, I think you got to target your wide receiver. Maybe that if that Doxson or something slips to the top of the second round, I think that would be a good player to get there.
Yeah, it's going to be nice sitting there at the top of the second round, having a chance to kind of figure it out again. You just wonder if Paxton Lynch might still be there. Like you said, maybe some of these other receivers like Doxton might slip and fall. Maybe not. But
someone's going to fall and he'll be there. If they end up going offense in the first round, Noah Spence at the top of the second round could end up being a guy that is a former Buckeye that has all the talent in the world, but some head issues and stuff. So
yeah, I want to stay away from those guys. I'm tired of the head issues, the head cases. Yeah. From the Kellen Winslow. I mean, we could go back through recent memory to remember some really wacky players. Braylon Edwards. I mean, it's just been. You feel good about this draft? We'll wrap it up on that then. You feel good about it? Does your instinct say that you feel like good things are on the way for the Browns, or it's just pretty much wait and see? Why even get excited at this point?
I'd like to be excited, but I feel like I'm probably at a wait and see. So That's what I'm going to say. But I certainly would like to hope in the fact that the team is going to get it right for once.
All right. Well, then let's leave it there. Go Cavs. Go Indians. We can talk about that stuff later. But, the draft's coming up this week. It's Hope Springs Eternal time for Cleveland sports fans, especially Cleveland Browns fans. And as usual, Brandon Odell, thank you so much for joining us. We shall do this again. That work for you?
Always a pleasure, and maybe we can be able to talk after the craziness occurs this week.
Yeah, maybe a full draft recap and take a look at where we're sitting, what else we traded away, who we ended up with, and kind of take a look at our surround. It's like that moment.
You could keep trading down forever, and I heard somebody had said this. You can keep trading down forever and end up eventually owning the entire 6th round. But what is that really going to get you? You need the premier players. So.
All right, that's a good point. To do our wrap show once. Day 1, day 2, and day 3 are completed. It's kind of like Halloween, Brandon. You empty out your pillowcase and you see what you got at the end of it all. You spread it around. All right, we got some of those. We got this. All right, good. I like that. Oh wow, a full-size Snickers bar. So that's going to be probably the most fun show when we get a chance to pick the players apart and kind of grade the performance. But I got a good feeling. About it. I'm the eternal optimist when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. For some reason, I just one of these years it's going to make sense. So anyway, I'll let you go. Enjoy the Cavs game. Say hello to the missus for me, and your daughter. And I will talk with you in a few.
Sounds great. We'll talk to you later.
Go Browns.
All right, go Browns. Bye.
Later. All right, everybody. Brandon Odell. I don't know what else to tell you. I got a good feeling about this year. I don't know. There's some linemen that I like. I don't know. You go Ronnie Staley if he's there. Jack Conklin. Taylor Decker. Do you get an offensive tackle? You need those home run hitters. Apparently they weren't sold on Carson Wentz or Jared Goff. Hey, what can I say? But you look through the top prospects, not a lot of, I don't know, you're looking for the home run hitters. You got a couple of people, but it's a different kind of draft this year. I don't know, Jared Goff, is he really Carson Wentz? I mean, is that really a number 1, number 2 pick? Yes, it is, so, hey, we're going to wait and see. Feel good about it, but let's empty out the candy from Halloween before we go a little too far. Anyhow, special thanks to Brandon Odell for joining us on the program. We're going to do this again. We're going to follow up on the Cleveland Cavaliers game today against the Detroit Pistons. If all goes well, a healthy Cavaliers team will sweep and complete their first-round action against the Pistons and move along to face either the Hawks or the Celtics, and we'll figure it out from there. And hey, Steph Curry's getting injured over there for the Warriors, so it could make for some interesting times for the Spurs and the Cavs and the Warriors too. So anyway, on behalf of everybody from the TNAM Radio Network, I just want to say that I appreciate you, I love you, and we'll talk again soon. Take care.
And this is John B. Wells reminding you that not only is Brian Engelman a cool guy, and not only is the newamericanmedia.com a very cool platform, but here's a cool idea for you, too. Are you alone? Not really. Do you like dogs? Do you like cats? You do. Of course you do. Everybody does. One or the other, maybe even both. There are a lot of dogs and cats that are at shelters right now, and if somebody doesn't take them home, they're going to wind up euthanized. That's a nice way of saying they're going to be killed, because there's simply not enough room. I guarantee it, the best dogs and the best cats, the best pets, come from shelters. There's something about dogs and cats. They know. They know where they are. You walk through one of them, and certainly at least one is going to look at you and go, I wish you'd take me home. I'm in hell. Please take me out of here. It'll be the best thing that you ever did for your soul. You'll feel good about it. And not only that, but you have a friend for life. Doesn't matter if you got money, you don't have money. Well, it doesn't make any difference to a dog or cat. All they need is the sound of your voice and maybe even the stroke of your hand, and they're fine. Maybe a little food every once in a while. The sweetest sound that those pets ever hear is your voice. Think it over and adopt a cat or a dog from a local shelter today. I'm telling you, you'll be glad you did.